A disputed association between April 1 and foolishness is in Geoffrey Chaucer's The Canterbury Tales 1392. In the Nun's Priest's Tale, a vain cock Chanticleer is tricked by a fox on Sin March Biggin 30 days and 2. Readers apparently understood this line to mean, 32 March, i.e. April 1. However, it is not clear that Chaucer was referencing April 1, since the text of the Nun's Priest's Tale also states that the story takes place on the day when the sun is in the signy of Taurus had y run 20 degrees and 1, which cannot be April 1. Modern scholars believe that there is a copying error in the extant manuscripts and that Chaucer actually wrote, Sin March was gone. If so, the passage would have originally meant 32 days after March, i.e. the 2nd of May, the anniversary of the engagement of King Richard II of England to Anne of Bohemia, which took place in 1381. In 1508, French poet Éloi de Merville referred to a Poisson d'avril, April Fool, literally, fish of April, possibly the first reference to the celebration in France. Some writers suggest that April Fools originated because in the Middle Ages, New Year's Day was celebrated on March 25 in most European towns, with a holiday that in some areas of France, specifically, ended on April 1, and those who celebrated New Year's Eve on January 1 made fun of those who celebrated on other dates by the invention of April Fool's Day. The use of January 1 as New Year's Day became common in France only in the mid-16th century, and the date was not adopted officially until 1564, by the Edict of Roussillon. In 1561, Flemish poet Édouard de Deen wrote of a nobleman who sent his servants on foolish errands on April 1. In the Netherlands, the origin of April Fool's Day is often attributed to the Dutch victory in 1572 at Brielle, where the Spanish Duke Álvarez de Toledo was defeated. Op the 1st of April verloor Alva zijn bril is a Dutch proverb, which can be translated as, on the 1st of April, Alva lost his glasses. In this case, bril, glasses, in Dutch, serves as a homonym for Brielle. This theory, however, provides no explanation for the international celebration of April Fool's Day. In 1686, John Aubrey referred to the celebration as, Fool's Holy Day, the first British reference. On April 1, 1698, several people were tricked into going to the Tower of London to see the lions washed. Although no biblical scholar or historian is known to have mentioned a relationship, some have expressed the belief that the origins of April Fool's Day may go back to the Genesis flood narrative. In a 1908 edition of the Harper's Weekly cartoonist Bertha R. MacDonald wrote, "Authorities gravely back with it to the time of Noah and the Ark." The London Public Advertiser of March 13, 1769, printed, "The mistake of Noah sending the dove out of the ark before the water had abated, on the 1st day of April, and to perpetuate the memory of this deliverance it was thought proper, whoever forgot so remarkable a circumstance, to punish them by sending them upon some sleeveless errand similar to that ineffectual message upon which the bird was sent by the patriarch." In the UK, an April Fool prank is sometimes later revealed by shouting, "April Fools!" at the recipient, who becomes the April Fool. A study in the 1950s, by folklorists Iona and Peter Opie, found that in the UK, and in countries whose traditions derived from the UK, the joking ceased at midday. This continues to be the current practice, with the custom ceasing at noon, after which time it is no longer acceptable to play pranks. Thus a person playing a prank after midday is considered the April Fool themselves. In Scotland, April Fool's Day was traditionally called Huntagauk Day, although this name has fallen into disuse. The name is a corruption of Hunt the Gauk, Gauk being Scots for a cuckoo or a foolish person. Alternative terms in Gaelic would be La na Gocarage, Goking Day, or La Ruath na Cuthage, the day of running the cuckoo. The traditional prank is to ask someone to deliver a sealed message that supposedly requests help of some sort. In fact, the message reads, "Dinna laugh, dinna smile. Hunt the Gauk another mile." The recipient, upon reading it, will explain he can only help if he first contacts another person, and sends the victim to this next person with an identical message, with the same result. In England a fool is known by different names around the country, including a noodle, gob, gobby, or noddy. In Ireland, it was traditional to entrust the victim with an important letter, to be given to a named person. That person would read the letter, then ask the victim to take it to someone else, and so on. The letter when opened contained the words, "Send the fool further." In Poland, Prima aprilis, the 1st of April, in Latin, as a day of pranks, is a centuries-long tradition. It is a day when many pranks are played. Hoaxes, sometimes very sophisticated, are prepared by people, media, which often cooperate to make the information more credible, and even public institutions. Serious activities are usually avoided, and generally every word said on April 1 can be untrue. The conviction for this is so strong that the Polish anti-Turkish alliance with Leopold I, signed on April 1, 1683, was backdated to March 31. However, for some in Poland, Prima aprilis ends at noon of April 1, and Prima aprilis jokes after that hour are considered inappropriate and not classy. Danes, Finns, Icelanders, Norwegians and Swedes celebrate April Fool's Day, April Snar in Danish, Aprilipaiva in Finnish, Aprilskamt in Swedish. Most news media outlets will publish exactly one false story on April 1. For newspapers this will typically be a first-page article but not the top headline. In Italy, France, Belgium and French-speaking areas of Switzerland and Canada, April 1 tradition is often known as April fish, Poisson d'avril in French, April vis in Dutch or Peste d'Aprile in Italian. This includes attempting to attach a paper fish to the victim's back without being noticed. Such fish feature is prominently present on many late 19th to early 20th century French April Fool's Day postcards. Many newspapers also spread a false story on April Fish Day, and a subtle reference to a fish is sometimes given as a clue to the fact that it is an April Fool's prank. April Fool's Day is widely celebrated in Odessa and has special local name Humarina. For the first time this holiday arose in 1973. April Fool prank is revealed by saying, Pervo Aprila Nakoma ne Vuru, which means, April 1, trust nobody, at the recipient. The festival includes a large parade in the city center, free concerts, street fairs and performances. Festival participants dress up in a variety of costumes and walk around the city fooling around and pranks with passers-by. One of the traditions on Fool's Day is to dress up the main city monument in funny clothes. Humarina even has its own logo, a cheerful sailor in life ring, whose author was an artist, Arkady Sykin. During the festival, special souvenirs with a logo are printed and sold everywhere. Since 2010, April Fool's Day celebrations include an international clown festival and both celebrated as one. In 2019, the festival was dedicated to the 100th anniversary of the Odessa Film Studio and all events were held with an emphasis on cinema. In Lebanon, an April Fool prank is revealed by saying, which means, April 1 lie, at the recipient. In many Spanish-speaking countries and the Philippines, Dia de los Santos Inocentes, Holy Innocents' Day, is a festivity which is very similar to the April Fool's Day, but it is celebrated in late December, 27, 28 or 29 depending on the location, or January 10 for East Syrians. As a Western country, Israel has adopted the custom of pranking on April Fool's Day. As well as people playing pranks on one another on April Fool's Day, elaborate pranks have appeared on radio and TV stations, newspapers, and websites, and have been performed by large corporations. In one famous prank in 1957, the BBC broadcast a film in their Panorama Current Affairs series purporting to show Swiss farmers picking freshly grown spaghetti, in what they called the Swiss spaghetti harvest. The BBC were soon flooded with requests to purchase a spaghetti plant, forcing them to declare the film a hoax on the news the next day. With the advent of the Internet and readily available global news services, April Fool's pranks can catch and embarrass a wider audience than ever before. December 28, the equivalent day in Spain, Hispanic America and the Philippines, is also the Christian day of celebration of the Day of the Holy Innocents. The Christian celebration is a religious holiday in its own right, but the tradition of pranks is not, though the latter is observed yearly. In some regions of Hispanic America after a prank is played, the cry is made, "Inocente palomita que te dejaste engañar, you innocent little dove that let yourself be fooled." Not to be confused with another meaning of palomita, which means popcorn, in some dialects. In Mexico, the phrase is, inocente palomita que te dejaste engañar, which means, innocent pigeon you let yourself be fooled. In Argentina, the pranksters says, que la inocencia te valga, which roughly translates as advice to not be as gullible as the victim of the prank. In Spain, it is common to say just, inocente, which in Spanish can mean, innocent, or, gullible. In Colombia, the term is used as, pasala por inocentes, which roughly means, let it go, today it's Innocents' Day. In Belgium, this day is also known as the Day of the Innocent Children, or Day of the Stupid Children. It used to be a day where parents, grandparents, and teachers would fool the children in some way. But the celebration of this day has died out in favor of April Fool's Day. Nevertheless, on the Spanish island of Menorca, Dia de Engañar, Fooling Day, is celebrated on April 1 because Menorca was a British possession during part of the 18th century. In Brazil, the Dia da Mentira, Day of the Lie, is also celebrated on April 1. In many English-speaking countries, mainly Britain, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand and South Africa, it is a custom to say, pinch and a punch for the first of the month, or an alternative, typically by children. The victim might respond with, a flick and a kick for being so quick, and the attacker might reply with, a punch in the eye for being so sly. The practice of April Fool pranks and hoaxes is controversial. The mixed opinions of critics are epitomized in the reception to the 1957 BBC, Spaghetti Tree hoax, in reference to which, newspapers were split over whether it was a great joke or a terrible hoax on the public. The positive view is that April Fools can be good for one's health because it encourages jokes, hoaxes, pranks, and belly laughs, and brings all the benefits of laughter including stress relief and reducing strain on the heart. There are many, best of, April Fool's Day lists that are compiled in order to showcase the best examples of how the day is celebrated. Various April Fool's campaigns have been praised for their innovation, creativity, writing, and general effort. The negative view describes April Fool's hoaxes as creepy and manipulative, rude, and a little bit nasty, as well as based on schadenfreude and deceit. When genuine news or a genuine important order or warning is issued on April Fool's Day, there is risk that it will be misinterpreted as a joke and ignored. For example, when Google, known to play elaborate April Fool's Day hoaxes, announced the launch of Gmail with 1 GB inboxes in 2004, an era when competing webmail services offered 4 MB or less, many dismissed it as a joke outright. On the other hand, sometimes stories intended as jokes are taken seriously. Either way, there can be adverse effects, such as confusion, misinformation, waste of resources, especially when the hoax concerns people in danger, and even legal or commercial consequences. People obeying hoax messages to telephone, Mr. C. Lion, or, Mr. L'Elephant, and such like on a telephone number that turns out to be a zoo, sometimes cause a serious overload to zoos' telephone switchboards. Other examples of genuine news on April 1 mistaken as a hoax include the 1st of April 1946, warnings about the Aleutian Island earthquake tsunami that killed 165 people in Hawaii and Alaska. The 1st of April 2005, news that the comedian Mitch Hedberg had died on the 29th of March 2005. The 1st of April 2005, announcement about Powerpuff Girls Z, by Aniplex, Cartoon Network and Toei Animation. The 1st of April 2009, announcement that the long-running soap opera Guiding Light was being cancelled. Books, films, telemovies and television episodes have used April Fool's Day as their title or inspiration. Examples include Bryce Courtenay's novel April Fool's Day 1993, whose title refers to the day Courtenay's son died. The 1990s sitcom Roseanne featured an episode titled, April Fool's Day. This turned out to be intentionally misleading, as the episode was about tax day in the United States on April 15, the last day to submit the previous year's tax information.